Welcome back to a new video in my Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series. Last video we have implemented our own custom player and we were able to basically move around and collect all the collectible actors that I have already removed because I already recorded this, but had some issues in multiple, I had multiple issues, so I decided to re-record this. But that other actor is still there and it explodes, and just because I forgot about that I already deleted them, let me make a copy of them. So basically what we had is we could set up on which actor the shall trigger. So the my XP pawn, for example, if I select the my XP pawn here, save this and start this, you can see that when I get close it jumps, falls down and basically indicates that we have collected it. It doesn't give us any feedback currently, but that's okay for now. So what we want to do today is we want to programmatically spawn these actors, and for that we have to make multiple things. We get to make multiple things. I've already done a few of them because I already recorded this, but I try to delete the most as possible. So first thing that we need is we need a actor that is gonna spawn the box itself. So we're going to create a new class, so tools, new C++ class, and of course I need to zoom out here because like the Unreal Engine wants us to do this, and what we want to do here is we basically want to create an empty actor. We don't need any special kind of actor, just a plain actor that's placed in the scene, and the name of the actor is going to be spawn box, because inside of this box we're going to spawn actors. Let's create the class and the runtime, that's all good. And then we are ready to go and implement it. Alright, so here we are. We have the empty spawn box class generated, and now we need to try to populate this. So first of all, I want to basically have a box component for the box into which we want to spawn, so the area where we can spawn actors, and we're just going to call this spawn box. Oh yeah, the class is already called spawn box. Yeah, but I think it's okay. Let's make this property, edit defaults only, box in which we will spawn the actors. Alright, so your box component is of course not known. Let me quickly see what header that is. It is the components box component header, so let's go in and include it here. There we go, now we should have it. Then what we basically want to have, we want to have the actor class to spawn, and for that we're going to again use the T subclass of type, which basically says this class or any subclass, and we don't care, we just want to spawn actors, so any actor could be spawned. It's the actor to be spawned, or let's maybe call this actor class to be spawned. Which is of course also a new property, which is being able to edit anywhere, but just want to make sure, we should also make sure that we can put in 0 here, so that we don't spawn anything. Alright. So the next thing that we need are some parameters, so timing parameters. And we're gonna have a float. Let's call this average AVG spawn time, so the average time between two spawns. Let's maybe put this at 5, which is of course also edits anywhere your property, so the average spawn time. And I made a semicolon, there we go. And then I want to have another floating point here, which is the random spawn time offset, which just gonna put at 1 float here, so we just want to have a bit of randomness in here. Your property, edit anywhere. This is basically average time between spawns without random. And here we're gonna have the random plus minus offset of the spawn time. Alright, so this is basically our timing properties. Then we have our actor that shall be spawned, and then we have the spawn box, which is basically a box which we shall spawn. Let's now implement the function that is gonna spawn an actor in that spawn box without timing. So let's create a void, or maybe we want to make this as a bool. Bool spawn actor. And so that we just have this as exposed, I just want to make this not a U property, a U function. I want to have this as a U function. Blueprint callable, like that, so that we can also call this. And this function basically will spawn an actor of the set class now. Setted of the specified class now. Alright. So let's go in and take a look at the implementation. First I want to see if the actor class to be spawned is valid. I hope I can do this like that. Probably the operator is implemented. We're gonna see. So yeah, we basically check if this is valid. Then we wanna calculate the extents of the box. So what I basically want to have is I want to take a look at my spawn box here, and I want to call a function here. We can basically calculate bounds, which is basically going to compute a so-called f box sphere bounds, which is f box sphere bounds, which are the box bounds. They're going to equal to calculating the bounds, and to calculate the bounds we basically need a transform, a local to world transform, which is just going to be the spawn box get transform function, get component transform, or we could also like try to get our transform from the actor, so get actor transform, because the actor is going to be the root object. Or basically the box is going to be the root component, so we can just get the actor transforms for that box, because we're just going to have that one here. So now we of course need to also initialize our spawn box. We haven't done this yet, so that's important that we do this. Of course in the constructor, so setup members, so the spawn box, it's just going to be equal to create default subobject of the U box component. Just going to give it a name here, which is our spawn box, just as simple as that. Then our root component is going to be our spawn box. And I missed, what did I made wrong here? Ubox component, that's actually all good. Why do you have issues? Oh yeah, I made an issue. Of course this needs to be a pointer. Sorry for that. Now we should be good, and that was also why this was a bit strange. But yeah, of course it needs to be a pointer. Alright, so now let's continue on down here. So compute random position within the box bounds, and we can get this by creating an f vector. I'm going to call this spawn location. This is going to be equal to the box bounds, and we want to get a an information out of that, and there are multiple in here, and there is an f vector origin, which is the origin of the box, so basically the center of the box, and we basically want to start at the center, and now we basically want to alter the x, y and z position. So we want to offset x, y and z, and we can offset them very easily by taking the box extents, which are basically the size of the box, and we could add the x1, and we are at the end of the box here. Since this shall be random, we of course need to multiply this with a random, so an fmarv f rand to get a random float between 0 and 1, and now we would get a random position within this box. But the issue that we have is that box extents are actually going in positive and negative directions. So actually we need to get a random value of 2 box extents, which is going to present us another issue, because 2 times the box extent is going to be the double of the box, which is okay from the extents, but now we are basically from the origin, but going over the extents, because now we are just going into plus direction, but not into minus direction. We need to go to minus box extents and plus box extents. So the easiest way to solve this is to take the initial box extent, make this negative, so minus the initial box extent. It's always like on the end of the box from the origin, so origin, center, end of the box, and now we're basically adding a random percentage of 2 times the box extent, which is going to bring it from the minus box extents through the origin to the plus box extents. It's just how this works. I'm going to duplicate this a few times, and I'm going to do this for each coordinate, x, y, z, x, y, z, x, y, and z. So this is going to give us a random location in there. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to spawn the actor. How can we spawn the actor? Well, we need to ask the world to spawn the actor. There's a function getWorld to get the current world, and it has a function spawn actor, which is going to spawn an actor, which needs first of all a class that needs to be spawned. So the actor class to be spawned is going to go in here, and then it's going to need some transforms. And this is going to be the spawn location, but you're going to see that this doesn't work. It needs a pointer to that, and boom, we are done. Now we have spawned this actor at this location. It is just as easy as that. We could also add some more parameters here. There's another parameter which is called the spawn parameters of type fActor spawn parameters, but since we're just going to spawn it with the default parameters, we're not going to use them for now in here. Alright, so this function shall now spawn an actor. The next thing that we need to consider is actually calling the spawn actor function. For that, I'm going to make a function that is going to be a void function, and I'm going to just call this schedule actor spawn. And this function will schedule an actor spawn within our random time span. Did I mistype schedule here as well? Yeah. So yeah, so basically what you might want to do, or what you would do initially if you don't have any experience in programming Unreal Engine, you would maybe go into the tick function and implement the spawning here. So decrement some float here with the delta time until it's time to spawn the actor. And this should also work, but I personally had some issues with that, doing this like that. I really had issues with that. It was working like 90% of the time, but sometimes there was just a big glitch and a large amount of boxes spawned, which is, it's not really stable. So we're not gonna use tick at all on this actor, so I can basically remove it. We don't need tick. Of course, we're also gonna call our or tell our actor that we don't need to tick. We can never tick, so just set this to false, and we are good. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do here is I want to basically specify the first spawn time here when we begin play. So first spawn. But actually, before I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna add another parameter here, because I might want to disable spawning at some time. So let's do this as well. So let's make a new property, add it anywhere, blueprint, read write. This is something that we might also want to put here to the actor to be spawned, so that we can read write this maybe here as well, so that this is all blueprint accessible. Alright, so let's call this boolean here, should spawn, which is by default true. So by default I should just spawn some actors. So if we should spawn, I am just gonna call the schedule actor spawn to basically schedule the next spawning of the actor. This is also something that I want to do down here in the spawn actor. The spawn actor function should automatically reschedule it. So what I'm going to do is reschedule. And I want to reschedule here if is spawn called. Or maybe you actually don't want to do this because the spawn actor function might be called manually on a certain event, so we might not want to do this like that. We might want to have a private function that is basically calling the scheduled spawn. I'm going to declare this as a U function here, even though this is going to be private and not visible. You're going to see why we do this in a second. So spawn actor scheduled. This is going to be the function here. The spawn actor scheduled. This is just gonna call the spawn actor, and it's gonna reschedule. So we want to spawn and reschedule if required. It's gonna work like that. And now the only thing left here to do is basically implement this schedule actor spawn. What do we need to do here? So the first step is gonna be the compute time offset to spawn. And the second thing is actually schedule spawning. And how are we going to do this? So first of all, time is not very hard, so we're going to have a float delta to next spawn, and this is going to be equal to the average spawn time, and of course we're going to add something on top of that. And what we're going to add? The random spawning. Since the random is minus and plus as well, we basically use the same formula that we used up here. So we're going to use the minus, how did I call this, average or random, I don't know how I called this. How did I call this? Random spawn time offset. Okay, there we go. So the minus random spawn time offset, we want to take that one and we want to add something on top of that, and we want to add on top of that 2 times the random spawn offset times fmath frand. And this should get us some random time offset. And now we need to schedule the spawning, and to schedule spawning we're going to use timers. Unreal Engine has timers, so we basically can say, hey timer, call this function after a certain amount of time. And for that we need a so-called time manager, which is basically managed by the world. So we can get the time manager, and this time manager allows us to basically do multiple time informations. And for example, we can call the set timer function, which is going to set a timer, and as soon as this timer expires, it's going to call a function. So you can see it requires a, or you might not can see this, but I'm going to tell you what parameter it takes. It requires an in-out handle. So this handle is basically a handle which is associated with that specific timer, which is of type the ftimer handle. So we're gonna need another parameter here in our class. So this is gonna be our spawn timer handle, ftimer handle. So this is basically just our helper for timing. And what we want to do is we want to basically input the timer handle here. Is it a pointer? No, it's a reference. That's good. And what it also then needs is a class on which the time action is going to be called. This is going to be this class. And then it's going to take a function pointer. So from the aspawn box, I want to call the spawn actor scheduled function. And this should then basically spawn the actor when the timer expires. But we also, of course, need the time, which is basically a I think it's called something like max time. It's basically the time that we try to archive here. So we're gonna input the time here as well. And the next parameter is if this should be looping. In our case, we don't want to make this looping because we want to reschedule ourselves with a different time. So if you wouldn't have some random value, you could also just say this shall loop, and then it would basically just continue on playing. Alright, so this is basically everything that we need to do. We basically just set a timer to basically make sure that the timer has been set to the new value, and as soon as it reaches 0, the timer, it's gonna call the spawn actor scheduled function, which is basically spawning the actor now and reschedules this timer here. One important thing that you need to take into account when using timers is that you need to actually clear the timer properly when the actor expires. So if the actor basically gets deleted, we want to make sure that we also stop this timer and just basically make sure that everything is good. We can do this in several ways, but the most easiest way and the most clean way, which is basically going to consider everything that is being bound to this object, is to implement this into the end play function. So I'm just going to search for the end play function. I could type this in here with Visual Studio Assist, or I also did already saw it, and this is basically the function that we want to implement, and I just click it and there we go. So now we have the end play called when the actor stops playing. So you can basically see this is the signature end play. It's going to get a constant end play reason type, end play reason, so the reason why we ended playing, and we also implemented this here. And if I would take a look at this, probably end play reason has multiple parameters. It has destroyed. This is basically when the actor component is explicitly destroyed. We have end play in editor when the world is basically unloaded because we stopped playing in the editor. This end play in editor has been called. We also have level transition, which is basically called when we load another level. We have the quit function when the application is going to be exited, and we have the remove from world function, which is called if the actor is going to streamed out. So if you have a big world which needs streaming and the actor is going to be streamed out, so removed, but the world is not like unloading and it was not explicitly destroyed, this removed from world is being called. We don't really care what reason it is. We just want to make sure that we're going to get our time manager again, get time manager, and we just want to clear all timers for object, and we just want to input this. And this is basically going to remove all timers associated with this instance, with this object's instance. So this just makes sure that all timers are cleared. You can do this actually differently. You could go in here and say clear timer, and then you would need to implement, I lost my cursor again, but Visual Studio solved this by reopening the file, which is very amazing that this works now. Alright, so here we go, again with a cursor. Clear timer, you could also input a handle here. So how did I call this? Spawn timer handle. You could also do this like this, and then you would be fine as well. So do this for each handle, but it's a bit more clean if you're just doing this for all objects. Then you're just safe that everything is being cleared that is associated with that object, and end play means that this is no longer valid, and so this is probably what you want to do. Alright, so as you can see, we are currently moving more and more towards implementing everything in one go, because we are getting more experience in Unreal Engine, and we now gonna hope that everything works. So let's hop back into the editor. Let's do a hot reload and see what we get. Okay, we didn't get it. Blueprint read-write should not be used on private members. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot to move them somewhere different. Where do I have it? Edit defaults only. Here we have blueprints read-write. Let's copy them over and just make them public. Public, like this, and like that. This should now be good. Or are they allowed to be public or protected? I think they protected would be alright. Better, but yeah. Okay, so build failed because we didn't return a value. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I forgot about that. So basically what we want to have here is we just basically check if the actor class to be spawned is valid. Is this actually returning something? Yeah, it's returning an A-actor pointer. An A-actor pointer. Actually, we're going to do this differently. So first of all, let's create a bool. And we're just going to call this can or spawned actor, which is going to be equal to false initially, and we're just going to assign spawn actor to the result of that if this is not equal null pointer. So as soon as this is not equal to null pointer, spawned actor is going to be true, and we can return spawned actor. So we could maybe do something and basically check if this If this is not valid, then we could do something like if there is it, I think there is probably there is an editor constant, but we could do some, maybe let's put this as a to-do. I need to look this up. Log error, maybe show an error message, could not spawn actor, could not schedule spawned actor, or something like that, so that we basically just get an error. And I could also maybe do this completely different. Basically I could do this maybe in here, and basically also stop rescheduling if we have an issue. So stop rescheduling when we cannot spawn an actor, and then log an error, and yeah, do something like that. Which should also maybe give us yeah, we're gonna expand this class in the future to give it a bit of more functionality. But for now I think this should be good. And let's rebuild this. Let's see. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, there we go. Live coding succeeded. Now we don't need to basically add a blueprint class on top of this actually, because we don't need to customize anything here currently. So let's just put in a spawn box here. You got it. And now maybe let's move it back into the ground so that I can see it while scaling it. Now I can go in here and just scale it. Oh, this was not what I intended to do. I just intended to scale in that direction. Alright. So let's just put this somewhere in here. Oh yeah, there's still a bit of scaling missing. This is why you should always do this in the right camera angle. But it doesn't also require to be basically everywhere. So I think this is good. Let's move this up so that they are nicely falling down onto the scene when they spawn. Let's save this. Let's go into the spawn box here, and let's adjust the parameters here. First, the class to be spawned is the myXP actor, or did I just call this XP actor? XP collect actor. I'd call this XP collect actor. Okay. One thing that I want to do is can I actually open this from here? Can browse to this. What you want to make sure is that you're going to open this up, and you want to go to the class defaults, and you want to make sure that everything is set up here correctly for the player, because we are basically just going to spawn it by default values. And when we spawn it by default values, we don't get a chance to basically change this later on, or we could get a chance, but it would require some additional undertaking, and then it would require like reinstantiating this and adding delegates to this, which would be clean and nice. But currently we just want to make sure that we have set this to the myXP pawn here by default, so that we spawn like default stuff. Okay, just gonna leave all the parameters the same, and we're gonna hope that nothing blows up and it hopefully works. Oh yeah, there you saw it. The first actor fall down. Let's wait if we get another one. Yeah, there falls another one. So you can see that it basically works. There gets another one. And if I get close, you can see, okay, if I don't knock it over, but you can see the functionality of the actor jumping is still there. I just want to make sure that they are spawning everywhere. Yeah, they are spawned there now as well. Just want to make sure that on this tile there's also one spawning. I could like lower the spawn rate a bit, but yeah. Yeah, there's also one spawning at this tile. It's just important because then like we got an actor spawned on each quadrant of the box, and so we basically verify that everything is good and working. So yeah, that's really nice. Everything else is still working. Oh, there was one falling down on the table. Jump. And yeah, you can basically see that everything works as expected. We are getting a regular spawning actor madness. It works, it spawns, it does what it shall do. And this is actually everything that I want to show in this video, but we're gonna add a few more functions to this, and we might even try them out, because yeah, I just wanna make sure that to basically give you everything that you need or might need, and show you how to write this like professional and production ready. So let's take a look at the code and see which functions we might need. So as you can see currently, everything just works with setting these parameters, like changing should spawn with blueprint read write, everything like this works. One thing that I want to now change is this should spawn, because imagine somebody sets this should spawn to false, which would basically mean that there is no rescheduling of the spawn function, and then later on somebody sets this to true. This has never been reflected by our system, and we would never be able to respawn as soon as this has been set to false. So what we want to do is we just want to remove the blueprint read-write, so we don't want to make this exposed to blueprints. Of course, then also move this down into here. So let's maybe add a comment. I think I forgot to do this. Indicates that the actor should spawn actors. Like that. Yeah, it's a bit bad, but yeah. And what we want to do instead is we want to instead give it a few functions here. Schedule actor spawn. Did I really make this public? That's not what I wanted. This is actually private. Yeah. Basically, what I forgot to tell you, this U function here is required because we use it with a timer. It's just like that. A timer needs a U function. Right, so let's add another function here, a public function now, and make this blueprint callable. And this function is going to be called void enable actor spawning bool enable. So this function is going to change if actors are spawned. Any pending spawning will still be done. Or actually we could also get over that. So we can also remove this. Let's implement this one and let's add the if yeah, that's not gonna get clean now. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna put this back in here. We're gonna put this any pending spawn will still be carried out. Like that. Alright. It's gonna make things a bit more clean. Alright, so what this function is basically doing, it's gonna assign should spawn to true. No, not try. To true. No, I'm an idiot. To enable. Of course. So it's basically we're gonna update internal state. What I then also want to do is I want to check if check. Oh, actually, I have an idea. We actually gonna abort this because I'm a stupid idiot. We can of course do this nicely. Check which timer action should be done. So if enable, we want to basically schedule the actor spawn now. And if we are not enabling, if we are disabling, we want to clear the timer, because we can actually clear the timer. We can basically use what we did up here to clear the timer and clear all pending actions. So what I want to do here is I want to basically get the world, get the time manager, and I want to clear a timer, and now I want to actually clear the timer directly and not all timers of the objects, because it's just a spawn timer that we are affecting. It's not like all timers on the objects, because we might have multiple of them. But we just want to stop the spawn timer. So clear timer, done. And this should now enable us to control if we should spawn or not. Let's actually try this out. We therefore gonna create a subclass of that, but you're gonna see in a second. Let's go into a UE and let's actually we could make this blueprint read, the one thing that we had. Alright, so now let's go in and let's delete the box, and of course the thing is you can actually not, you can click it if you have good luck. Let's delete this one because we're gonna create a subclass of that now. So let's create a spawn box and let's create C++ class derivate from spawn box, and let's I know that would be an issue. Alright. No, I don't want to create a C++ class, I'm an idiot. I clicked the wrong button. Here, create blueprint class based on spawn box. And now I can zoom out. Alright, so it's gonna be called, how do I call this? Yeah, let's call this XP spawn box. And let's put it into content and create a blueprint class, and there we go. Let's zoom in. put it up here, and let's now go in and add some functionality to that. So I don't want to alter anything here. This is going to be all edited later on. Maybe just put this to the XP collect actor already, and maybe let's reduce this a bit, maybe to 3 and 1, and let's disable should spawn by default. Alright, so shortcut, I decided to do this differently. We have the spawn box, we just gonna get new components, we're just gonna get a box collision here. We're just gonna call this start and just copy paste. Okay, can I not copy paste this and duplicate it? Start and stop. We're just gonna have a start and stop box. They're just gonna drag them apart a bit. You can later on, we always edit them. And what I basically want to do now is, I try to do this here with custom events and maybe bind this dynamically on the editor, but I need to do a bit more research on this and maybe do a video in the future. Now we want to go to the event graph. I deleted all the other things, but that's really not the point. I just want to go to the start one, and on component begin overlap, I just want to call the function. How did I call this? Of course, it's always amazing if you don't remember what your function name was. Enable actor spawning. So we want to call enable actor spawning, and we want to say yes, start spawning. We want to do the same thing on the stop one. On component begin overlap, we just want to call this enable actor spawning as well, and we now want to make sure that this is unchecked, so enable spawning here, disable spawning down there. Exactly what we want. As simple as that. And now we want to go into our level, and we now want to take the XP spawn box. We're gonna get something that looks like that, and now we want to actually adjust the members here. So go back to the details panel. Let's go to the spawn box. The thing is, it's probably now going to scale as well if I scale all of them. Yeah, that is not really what I wanted actually, but I wanted to make this move with it, but oh yeah, we need to live with that, I think. Now let me move the full thing up. Okay. Let's now take the start trigger box. And let's move this somewhere where it probably is not going to collide with anything. So somewhere down there. Maybe directly to the edge. It's going to be the spawn start box. Somewhere there. Yeah, that looks good. Same thing we're going to do for stop. But at a different corner of the map. It's like a bit improvised now, and I told you that we want to make this production ready, but now we are not doing it production ready because I made a mistake with the... I didn't thought that I want to do this in this video, but since we do have a bit of time here actually, I want to show you how this works nicely and in a controllable way. Right. So now let's try this out. We shouldn't get any spawn. As you can see, nothing falls down. But as soon as I kind of like go into that piece of the map, we should get some spawnings. Yep, there you go. The first one fell down. Next one. Collect them. Boom. And now let's go into the stop area. Let's wait a few seconds. As you can see, we don't get any more spawnings. And to check that all of our timer clearings and startings worked, let's go back in here. And we should again get actor spawning. And there you go. They're coming back into the world. I can collect them. Amazing. I can have it on my hat. Here of my nice actor. And this is all working as expected. It's really nice. Like, what's not as nice is that the actors, the objects are just like disappearing. We could make like an explosion or particle system. Or we could like make that they just float through the world, disable physics, and they float down, and then they disappear when they are out of sight, basically. But I'm actually fine with that. Alright, so now we basically have spawned the actors randomly. So yeah, thank you for watching. We are gonna see us in the next video when we I think we're gonna add some UI. Yeah, maybe we're gonna add some UI. Maybe we're gonna rework our pawn, because we just have discovered like what a pawn is. Maybe we're now gonna go into the actor class, because I personally find that pawns are nice and reusable for some things, but characters have more functionality and they are in general a bit better to use. We're gonna see what we get next video, what I'm gonna come up with. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe and activate the bell, and see you next time. Bye.